Good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime Series, proudly powered by our leadershipbydesign.co, where we aim to add value to people's lives. You can listen to us live every Wednesday and Thursday at lunchtime on ebizradio.com, where we talk everything leadership, coaching, and marketing. And you can listen to the latest Lunchtime Series on all your podcast channels today. In today's marketing and leadership segment, we've got Craig, our regular co-host and marketing and communications expert. Craig, how are you doing?
Kevin, I'm great, thank you. Yeah, good to be chatting again, and great to see that you've spent a few days on a little mini vacation with your daughter on her school half term.
Yes, no, she works incredibly hard, so she deserves it. She does try. She aims for being an A student, so she really puts in the effort and really puts in the work. So I'm like, any opportunity that I have to kind of give her like time to just laugh and be crazy and do fun things, then I try and do that, because she really does like work incredibly hard. So
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Small rewards make a big difference. Brilliant.
So before we jump into today's conversation, what are some of the key reminders from last week's conversation?
Kevin, yeah, as a reminder to last week, I'd like to cover the 4 closing points from the canva.com article, which was titled Brand Assets, what they are, why they're important, and how to leverage them for success. So let's have a look at a brief description of each of these. So starting with the first point, which is why are brand assets important, we learned the following. Distinctive brand assets increase awareness, improve marketing ROI, and strengthen any brand identity. And over time, brand assets become more recognizable, increasing customer trust and brand loyalty. And once you've successfully increased that awareness and trust, Kevin, focus on maintaining loyal customers rather than attempting to convert new customers. The second point there is brand assets build trust. And here we note that presenting a unified brand through all your brand assets while providing quality service or products helps build that brand trust we speak about in point 1. Be aware, though, that customers will begin to expect high quality whenever they see your brand, as they believe your product or service is one they can trust. Make sure not to fail on that promise. Probably one of the most important points. You need to build a reputation of reliability. If you have any intent of increasing conversions, this is a 2-part process that will help set you apart from competitors. One part is delivering the great product or service by understanding and meeting your customers' needs, and the other is to make sure that your audiences actually choose your brand over others because they expect and receive that positive brand experience. And then the third point here is brand assets improve ROI. And here we learn that repetition of your marketing assets, also known as consistent branding, will make people more familiar with your brand. It'll help you save money, and it'll improve your ad spending return on investment. Remember, though, that people tend to like something more as a result of previous exposure to it, irrespective of how brief that exposure was, Kevin. And we see that successful brands know how to leverage audiences and make that purchase from them a habit. In this instance, consider that the brand assets align with the customer's need for consistency. And then the final reminder point is brand assets strengthen brand identity. The strong brand identity is obviously built on a foundation of distinct and clear brand guidelines, including the likes of brand asset instructions, image specifications, conditions when each of the assets can and should be used. And the more specific you can be about your brand assets, the more cohesive your brand identity will be. And brand guidelines are especially important to prevent misrepresentation of your brand. And if you have a large team or many stakeholders who use and edit your brand assets, clear guidelines can definitely streamline the content production, from the colors you use to the size and orientation of your logos. Every design aspect of your brand should remain constant, Kevin. And those are the key takeaway points from last week.
Fantastic, guys. So if you want to check it out, Craig and I are weekly. Craig brings us wonderful information to support businesses and brands. And last week we spoke about the brand assets, and we do a bit of a recap every week. So if you want to find out more about that entire conversation, go and check it out on the YouTube. Listen to me, YouTube. Or you can check it out on all your major podcast channels, guys. And that's the Lunchtime series. You'll see all of our shows just a consecutive follow-on. But Craig, what do you have for us today around marketing and business?
Kevin, so I want to pick up a topic that we've not covered in any way whatsoever on our previous shows. This being the topic of what pressure are CMOs under in 2023? And the topic is, it's got many different angles, whether from the chief marketing officer's voice being genuinely heard at the boardroom table, or grappling with which marketing technology to deploy, or dealing with the pressures of proving short-term return on investment. And with every one of these different challenges that I've come across in the articles that that CMOs are faced with, there's definitely a myriad of articles addressing each of the issues raised. But I'm going to reference 3 key articles that I came across which address different aspects of this particular conversation.
I think it's a really good conversation, Craig. One of the things that I would hate to be is, if you're a CMO and you know that you're making decisions based on a brand's, what your brand is saying and how you're putting your brand out to the public can make or break the brand, right? I mean, there's that pressure. But with that, it can also impact the brand. And obviously, I go back to the marketing stunt that they did with FMB and the Steve campaign, because it was a big chance that it could have failed dismally. But yet, because they weren't representing FMB, they were representing Beep Bank. So, so for them to represent another brand, but yet refer back to FMB the whole time was quite strategic and clever. But it could have failed dismally and go but it didn't. It was highly successful. So I think the CMOs have a massive role to play. But tell us more about this.
Okay, yes, and I'm glad that the topic resonates with you. So to start off with, I want to just quickly provide a quick overview of what the Chief Marketing Officer is and what the role consists of, and what some of those general duties are that are associated with the role. So according to Wikipedia, a Chief Marketing Officer, also called a Global Marketing Officer or Marketing Director, or Chief Brand Officer, is a corporate executive responsible for managing marketing activities in an organization. According to Gartner.com, a Chief Marketing Officer is the corporate executive responsible for an organization's marketing activities, and the CMO's primary responsibility is to generate revenue. Take note, to generate revenue by increasing sales through the likes of brand management, stuff we've just covered, marketing communications, market research, product marketing, distribution channel management, pricing, and customer service. And then finally, according to the Cambridge Dictionary, CMO is an abbreviation for Chief Marketing Officer. The person in an organization has the most important position with responsibility for the organization's marketing. In other words, the advertising and selling products and services. Key those that the CMO must change with or ahead of the market, exploit new technologies, and be in tune with constant social change. And these definitions in themselves portray a glimpse of some of the challenges, expectations, and pressures that CMOs are faced with daily, Kevin.
Craig, so with that in mind, what is important to CMOs moving from 2023 into the new year ahead? Because I think some of the conversations we've just had in the last couple of weeks already have really started touching on, what the future of work looks like.
Yes.
What a brand asset is, and it's tapping into a narrative where people are really need to pay attention to, because I think
absolutely
is heading towards faster than we would like to anticipate.
Yeah. So the question is quite well addressed in the article that I came across on pwc.com's Executive Leadership Hub. Great source of information, Kevin. Yeah. The article is titled, "What's Important to CMOs in 2023? 6 topics shaping the marketing agenda." I couldn't find the actual data publication nor who the contributing authors and editors were, but really a great insightful piece. And the article's opening paragraph sets the scene on what the challenges CMOs are faced with in absolute detail. Then it expands on each of the 6 topics referenced, So I want to quote the opening paragraph because it conveys a quick oversight as to where we're going with this conversation. So it opens as follows. As the company's foremost brand steward, the CMO is entrusted with discerning the nuances of customer behavior, which can be mercurial in the best of times. In the wake of global pandemic, however, closely followed by inflation, it's evident why CMOs say their responsibilities have become more complex over the past 2 years. They anticipate an evolution of the responsibilities, prioritizing collaboration with their C-suite peers on strategy decisions to expand the scope of the brand in the minds of customers and ultimately to grow the business. Technology is essential to this mandate, as is the need for timely, detailed customer data, a point we've covered in many instances. When the CMOs combine their frontline experience with their deep understanding of the business, they can deliver essential insights for this continued corporate growth and resilience, Kevin. So a great summary of what's expected of CMOs these days, but let's look at those 6 topics in a bit more detail, Kevin. The first one here is, in fact, the quick precursor here. The way the article is structured is each of the topics is addressed, and then there's a why it matters conclusion for the topic in question. So 1 or 2 points that really bring some salience and relevance to the points raised. So the first topic is personalized to aid customer loyalty. And we learned the following from this particular topic. As choices for products and services proliferate, marketing leaders should consider finding new ways to create more immersive, tech-enabled, personalized experiences that can actually deliver targeted preferences. And chief marketing officers, they need to understand that this entails collaborating with the chief information officers and with the chief operating officers to analyze operating models for gaps in efficiency, then make those strategic investments in the most tech-forward capabilities. The point of why it matters here is long-term growth and loyalty hinge on balancing these values with capabilities. And while consumer companies have long used loyalty programs, a similar approach in business-to-business relationships is a fairly relative new concept. Moving to topic 2, Kevin, tailor tech investments for results. We learned the following. Technology, as we know, underpins every aspect of marketing today. The right marketing technologies and advertising tech investments can enhance these customer experiences, can generate predictive analytics, and can increase output and galvanize that business growth. Demonstrating these results, however, is more critical than ever before for a CMO, especially in budget-scarce, budget-constrained environments. The why it matters points here is that the solution is not always more technology. Rather, CMOs should work to simplify their tech roster, reconcile the process gaps, and get better at connecting existing systems to pull through the insights across the platforms.
Craig, you know what I find just listening to this, what's interesting is, and I have to bring it back to the book, the wings concept that we're currently working on.
Oh, yes.
The tailored tech investments for results, right? And I think that's what people are missing around the evolution of AI, is so that it forces people for AI to do the mundane, but it also forces humans to be better at being human. And that literally means, you could, and that's why tailored tech investments for results, essentially, how do you tailor the technology so that it speaks to your brand in a way that it really automates and does what it needs to easily, but then affords you the opportunity to really be human enough to engage with them and really get that human connectivity, because
absolutely
aid customer loyalty. That's where the human side or the human element really comes into it. And I think that's a fine balance, but a necessary one.
It absolutely, it really is a fine balance. And one of the points we'll pick up on later is the whole aspect around skills, because, do the organizations have the right skills in place to adapt and adopt those particularly new technologies like AI at this point in time?
Yeah.
But topic 3 here is mobilize modern marketing. And we learn the following from this. CMOs have spent the last 2 to 3 years leading their teams through an extremely turbulent time, Kevin. And it is over time for CMOs to actually reaffirm the strategic role as business partners in the C-suite. And it's important to obtain the resources required in providing the customer experience essential to keep customers coming back, to attract new customers, and to drive growth. And the why it matters principle here is that as marketers continue, at least as marketing continues to evolve, it is transformed from an enabler to a driver of business growth. And CMOs are faced with the challenge of building a foundation of customer centricity irrespective of marketing conditions. So there's no more leaning back and taking advantage of the predicaments that we're faced with and the situations we find ourselves in. You have to work through that and really build marketing irrespective of the conditions. Collaborating with the C-suite counterparts, CMOs can therefore deploy analytics for a reimagined vision of marketing. Topic 4, fulfill brand purpose. And I really like this point. We learned the following here. Customers want to know what a brand stands for, connecting with and reward relatable brands. CMOs are at the forefront of shaping communications and authentic narrative that highlight sustainability and purpose and must include the company's ESG strategy. Why it matters? Well, very important. 93% of customers mention that brand trust influences their buying behavior. And the point to note here is that CMOs who are in direct touch with customers are far more than their suite, at least are in direct contact with their customers far more than their C-suite peers, and they're charged with protecting and expanding that trust, Kevin.
Craig, you know what's interesting is just quickly, just before, I just want to mention that, not to sidetrack or backtrack.
Yeah.
Interesting around what we're seeing currently. I'm working with a large corporate at the moment, and one of the obvious things that's coming to the foreground is that it's not the product that you can differentiate yourself from, your competitor at this point. And they're struggling to kind of go, okay, so how do we then differentiate? And what's interesting, as topic 4 says here, fulfilling your brand purpose, which is really enforcing and pushing that to the agenda. Like, it's really part of the agenda. Like, what is your differentiator in the market? And how are you servicing your clients? And are you actually fulfilling that brand purpose? Because it's really starting to, it's not even about the product anymore. It's like, how do you level up by leveling up even further? And how are you doing it? By fulfilling that brand purpose.
And Kevin, it goes around that central question that you and I have spoken about a good while ago is, why do you do what you do as a business?
Yeah.
Why are you in business? Why do you make the products that you do? What gap in society are you closing by producing those products and services? Absolutely. Yeah. Moving to topic 5, fuel growth with proactive pricing. And we learned the following here, that on the back of these increased inflationary levels across the world, customers are demanding more and more value for their money, bringing a new urgency to the decisions surround marketing budgets. And Kevin, by integrating the marketing metrics with CRM and financial systems, chief marketing officers can actually develop a much more proactive pricing model for revenue growth management, trade promotions, and more. And the why it matters principles here is that companies are looking to their CMOs to shape that product demand, from gathering trade promotion data to using advanced revenue management tools to analyze the data. And CMOs are leading the case to bridge the departmental silos, further emphasizing their growth influence across the enterprise. And the final topic here is active insights with analytics, or at least activate insights with analytics. So we learned the following here. Deep knowledge of the customer is essential for any CMO. For instance, what channels do our customers prefer? To how can we actually meet them where they want to be? Finding ways to translate that knowledge via analytics into insights for the entire organization enables the CMOs and brings them much more authority to contribute to strategic decisions. And when they're getting that right, their voice is definitely heard more at the boardroom table. The why it matters here, CMOs should have the ability to uncover actionable insights from customer data. They also need the right metrics to confirm that they're actually delivering business relevant insights that allow the company to innovate and grow, and by delivering a targeted, personalized, differentiated customer experience.
So, I mean, Craig, listening to all this, it kind of sounds like you need large marketing budgets. You're obviously required to achieve this kind of thing.
Absolutely, yeah, Kevin. There's no way that marketers can achieve what's required in terms of increasing brand awareness, whether from a corporate product or service point of view, to driving the sales conversions and building loyal, high-value customer base without having financial support to deliver these strategies. And the article titled "CMOs Experiencing Pressure on Martech Budgets," as written by Graham Charlton and published to lxahub.com. LXA being an education business focused on marketing, sales, and technology, Kevin. The article was published on the 26th of May this year and addresses this growing challenge head on. So a really relevant and fairly new article. The article, as does the others referenced in our show today, opens with a key positioning paragraph that sets the context, and the article opens as follows. Pressure on budgets is normal for any CMO or marketing leader, but current economic conditions means that the demands to do more with less are louder than ever before. Recent data from Gartner suggests that the CMO spending power has been squeezed to the extent that they may feel that they may be unable to execute their strategy in 2023. Gartner's survey found that marketing budgets sit at an average of 9.1% of overall revenue, down from 9.5% last year. Spending on technology is under pressure, with 75% of marketers report being under pressure to cut martech spending this year to deliver ROI. Rather sobering statements and stats, Kevin, but most important is the fact that almost 25% of marketing budget is currently allocated to marketing technology stacks. And the overall marketing budget split is noted as follows across these large organizations. 35% is sitting in the staff labor component, 22% is allocated to agency services spend, 19% is allocated to media spend, and the whopping 24+% is allocated to marketing technology spend, a big portion of their budgets.
But I mean, Craig, I've just randomly heard through conversation that, when times are tough, people usually want to cut their training budgets and their marketing budgets. And that's the two areas that you shouldn't be cutting, right?
Correct.
And if we look at some of in the last few years with COVID, I think Hollard did the opposite of that. And that's why they had such a wonderful success campaign that they were running, but stepping up into like spending more. And I think we've actually done a show where, some of the stats show people were spending more budget and getting more return on that.
What I love about what Hollard has done is they've absolutely understood the principle, don't reduce visibility in tough times, increase visibility in tough times. And what they've done is capitalize on doing good programs affiliated with that increased marketing awareness. So they really won on two ends. Yes, the brand is highly exposed and top of mind and very prevalent in the market, but they've also added do good programs, so they've got an emotional connect to that. So exposing a lot more exposure, but a lot more do good value that's coming through on that basis as well. And Heidi Brewer did a phenomenal job in really taking that brand to the next level, as she did when she worked at Kalula.
Yeah. I mean, buying into the point of Gartner reports?
Yeah, Kevin, So some of the blame is allocated to CMOs and their tendencies to become attracted to the lure of new technologies. And, there's some phenomenal tech stacks out there, so I can quite easily see how that becomes a reality. One key issue may, however, be that the challenges faced in proving the impact of the investment made in these marketing technology stacks, with CMOs therefore needing to justify their budgets a lot more. And it goes without saying that proving ROI can be a challenge at the best of time, with, take note, 54% of CMOs surveyed noting that the ability to actually tie their marketing activities to business results was a key challenge when looking to achieve some data-driven marketing. The article also provides some great insights, Kevin, around the key barriers to achieving this data-driven success through their initiatives, and these are categorized as follows. Lack of information or reporting to the marketing activities to results, 54%. Lack of staff, 46% of respondents mentioned that. Change in regulatory environment, as high as 43%.
Cool.
Legacy platforms, key point here, as many as 38% of marketers, the CMOs are citing these as disablers in being effective. Lacking the necessary marketing technology solutions, 34%. Increasing the number of marketing channels and data sources to manage, 30%. Lack of staff skill set, key point. The knowledge of tech or data management as high as 22% respondents. And poor data quality, 20%. Poor data governance, 17%. The important point, though to note here, Kevin, is the ability to actually connect tech investments to the business outcomes, which is essential for marketers to justify their budgets. And this can become even more vital in periods where budgets are under pure daily scrutiny and review. And every Monday morning in those boardrooms, there's a question asked: what have you achieved this last week? Is your expenditure aligned with the results you're seeing in the business?
Just on that last word, with poor data quality and poor data governance, Craig, I don't know if you've experienced this, but just in the last 6 months, the conversation about data, even, we spoke about the CEO, the alternative board, that, where the CEOs get together and have conversations. Data in itself is such an amazing, or a necessary, not amazing, but necessary conversation. So you really can't, it's driving decisions, very much important decisions that companies are making. And if you have really poor data quality, that's really going to affect, it can affect it in a big way.
Absolutely, and no matter how effective and sophisticated your technology stacks are, if you don't have the right analytics and understanding of the data, you're not going to be able to utilize it in an effective way to drive more consumer engagement, Kevin. Absolutely, yeah. A key theme that I actually came across in many of the articles, Kevin, related to the topic of this marketing technology and the ineffective or underutilized application across the marketing function. And some interesting stats here is that marketing technology utilization apparently dropped from 58% in 2020 to as low as 42% last year. Quite an alarming point, and this sort of is structured around two main reasons as to what the cause may be. The first is possibly not utilizing all of the features available in the marketing product stack, and the second is a point I referenced earlier: lack of skills and knowledge around the actual marketing stack. So looking at not utilizing all of the features available, the article provides an interesting point of view from an interview with Scott Brinker. Scott is the Chief Marketing Technologist and Vice President, Platform Ecosystems at my favorite inbound content marketing business, that being HubSpot. A phenomenal business and a great mind. And Scott Brinker notes the following, Kevin. He states that, I think everyone would agree at this point that utilization rate of tech is probably quite low. I don't think that's the right metric, though. It doesn't matter how much functionality a particular piece of software has. What matters is that the functionality that I choose to use is effective for me in getting me results. There's always some additional functionality that could be useful, and perhaps I should invest time in learning it. However, just because some piece of software has a feature, does that mean you should use it? I think the fact that some functionality in a particular tool goes unused by a particular company isn't necessarily a bad thing, as long as it's effective overall. Simple and effective responses which get to the point that we really do need to understand what the metrics are when determining the effectiveness of anything we implement and apply across our business and brands, Kevin. Looking at the lack of skills and knowledge component here, we note that marketers, they have to audit their technologies, and they really have to assess the skills that exist in their marketing teams to determine what those training and development needs are, Kevin. And obviously, effective training can turn on some of the underutilized features that exist in the marketing technology stack as well. All of this said, the article closes with an important statement that's worth mentioning. With budgets under greater pressure, CMOs can make the case more forceful through the ability to prove ROI and impact on business revenue, while they can identify and unlock potential features by reviewing their current tech capabilities.
Greg, but I must say there isn't an excuse for the lack of skills and knowledge. Like if you're the chief marketing officer of any organization, you should have at least piloted something and at least tested the absolute living daylights out of it to know whether this is going to work or not, and if it's adding value or if it's frustrating or taking away or causing just a blip in the system. Because if you're doing that, you're actually you're supposed to be directly responsible for that. And to me, that's just coined down as pure laziness. Like,
yeah, I like that. The point that I like referencing is shape the people to fit the organization, and that's about ensuring absolute clarity of understanding what the organization stands for, does, and how it does it, and making sure that you build the skill competencies and training and developments around that, as opposed to shaping the organization around people's capability.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. So, Craig, as we end this interesting conversation today, what are the key takeaway points for our listeners?
So, Kevin, the key takeaway points are from the third article. This one I came across on cmsy.com, titled "The Top Challenges Facing CMOs in 2023." The article was written by Scott Clark and published to cmsy.com on the 31st of January. The article takes a look at some of the challenges that CMOs are faced with in 2023 and what they need to do to overcome these challenges moving forward. The first challenge is noted as privacy concerns affect marketing analytics. And according to Salesforce's recent State of Marketing report, 75% of marketers polled said that they rely at least in part on third-party data, with 68% indicating that they actually have a fully defined strategy to shift towards first-party data. Still quite low in reality. According to the State of Marketing report, marketers cite measuring marketing ROI or attribution as the number 2 challenge that they are facing. CMOs today must remain open to new opportunities for both growth and measurement, with 91% of CMOs stating that they must continuously innovate to remain competitive. Surprised that we don't have 100% of CMOs stating that. The second challenge is noted as recession and economic uncertainty drive spending behavior. The report tells us that the current economic reality has seen brands cutting back on spending through many areas of the business, even though it's more important than ever to invest in your company's growth, as you mentioned a short while ago. Companies that double down on the investment will be much stronger in the long run. Traditional sources of brand value, like brand tech, brand reach, positive brand sentiment, perceived differentiation, are all facing pressure from new market entrants, heightened audience expectations, and ease with which these customers can actually learn about the new brands, Kevin. The third and final challenge is noted as market where your customers are, and I really like this point. So instead of trying to reach customers everywhere, marketers today are changing their focus towards meeting customers in their preferred channels. Brands are focusing on being only where their buyers are, focusing on defining their ideal customer profile and understanding what these buyers read, where they go for information, the conferences they attend, etc., by adopting a customer-focused approach. And those are the key takeaway points for today, Kevin.
Fantastic, Craig. Yeah, that's really interesting because you kind of, when you hear it from this perspective, you kind of think, chief marketing, the marketing people have the best jobs in the world. They must have so much fun, right? And they probably do, but I mean, like, it comes with a whole bunch of pressure, I think.
Yes.
Guys, so if you want to go and check that out, it's What Pressures Are the CMOs Under in 2023. It will be available on all your major podcast channels. And Craig, the quote of today, I think you're going to like this one, actually. Never let the future disturb you. You will meet it, if you have to, with the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present. And that's from Marcus Aurelius.
Oh, I like that. I really do. Yeah.
Greg, thank you so much. Thanks for the insights. Thanks for the keeping us company and bringing us some really good quality information about understanding our chief marketing officers a little bit better.
Brilliant, Kevin. Thank you.
Have a good week, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you. Look forward to that. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.